Good morning, everyone. My name is John Bassinger-Flores, and I am the president of this congregation, and it is my distinct pleasure and privilege to welcome you this morning to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Studio City. I use he, him pronouns, and a very special warm welcome to all of our mothers who are worshiping with us this morning. Happy Mother's Day to everyone who has served in a mothering role in their life to other folks. All of you who have been mothers to children, to siblings, to other adults, very special warm welcome to you today. We are a welcoming community at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Studio City, striving to support and affirm all who walk through our doors or join us on Zoom. Here, values and deeds are the windows to your soul, not the color of your skin, whom you love, the gender pronouns you use, the particular forms of human sensory or neurodiversity you may embody, or which your cultural, ethnic, or religious background may be. We encourage each person to find their own answers to the great religious questions of life in a community of open hearts and questioning minds. We are so grateful for all of our visitors who are here today, and again, welcome to worship this morning.
My mother, Marcia, is going to light our chalice this morning. Good morning. Camera's not picking up yet. There's stuck. It's harder than it looks.
It's not lighting down there.
Hold on.
Not enough wick. We'll try again. Yes.
Aha, victory. Our call to worship this morning is by David Pohl. We come to this time and place to rediscover the wondrous gift of free religious community, to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and to reclaim the vision of an earth made fair with all her people one. It is a sacred time, this, and a sacred virtual space, this, that we share. Let's begin our sacred time together in song with our first hymn. And now please join me in reading the words of our covenant in unison. Love is the spirit of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, thus do we covenant. And our doxology. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. You make sure I'm not muted, am I? Good, I'm not muted. Okay. It is so lovely to have my mother sitting right next to me this morning. She is here for a good long visit, which will be a wonderful support to have. And there is much joy and laughter in seeing her interact with my children. They're at the perfect age to love and adore their grandma, almost 10 and 12 years old. And once they become teenagers, I know that can wear off. So I'm very grateful for this last leg of childhood still left in them and trying to enjoy what is left of it before they no longer want to hang out with mom as much or grandma. So for our reading this morning, I have a short essay to share that a member of my women's writing group wrote this week. Her name's Kathy Snyder, and she's probably about 65 years old. She writes, "Is it too late to change my mind about mothering? Being one, that is. I mean, it's only been 38 years or so. Perhaps there's some wiggle room. After so much life spent treading through this mothering gig, remembering who I was before that fateful day when the first of 3 little bundles of joy came into my life is almost an impossible task. I know I did some things in those days, but the replay of my LBC, Life Before Children, is long tucked away in the recesses of my brain somewhere between wild times and adventures that await. Truly, mothering is the best, sometimes important to slip that in before another word is recorded, most complicated job I have ever had. It continues to be so even in their all grown up years. See, kids, I do know you're adults. That oft-stated expression, I wouldn't change a thing, most definitely does not apply to my mothering experience. I'm simply not that good. There are certainly a few bits and bobs that could be shined up with the wisdom of experience I bring to the table now. Unfortunately, for all concerned, she's reading ahead. Unfortunately, for all concerned, that ship, as they say, has not only sailed, but is docked halfway around the world. Oh, I've trained myself to listen before speaking, but there are still those moments I jump in before thinking, only to face some of the best disapproving looks supplemented by masterful eye rolling that well exceed my own abilities, and I was a high school teacher. Judging by their talents in this area, I have imparted a good deal of expertise to them that can only lead to real world success. You're welcome. Likewise, it has come to my attention that those big whippersnappers have begun to feel that the need to mother my hub and myself as if we might possibly be a few stones throw away, followed by, oh no, you didn't, is all I have to say about that. Somewhere in my mothering career, I also learned the value of uncorking a good bottle of red, pouring a wee bit into a gorgeous Irish cut crystal wine glass, A little glam never hurts. To enjoy the hard-won quiet at the end of the day. Adding a good telenovela to relax was and continues to be the icing on the falderall-filled end of another day cake of mothering. As a new Mother's Day approaches, memories flood my vision of my own mother. She was a marvelous mix of love, hilarity, and compassion with a dollop of uncertainty. Widowed early, left with little, she soldiered on for those of us, my brother and myself, left behind. She was the calm in every storm, the light in sadness, and safe harbor for all who dropped anchor in her orbit. You are my mothering hero, Mom. 'Tis my hope that my own children will look back and see the joys, the laughter, the crazy, and the dramedy of our own family through the eyes of love. Maybe some rose-colored glasses along with a spoonful of therapy couldn't hurt. Come to think of it, mothering is a pretty good place to land, whether it's with your own children or those of dear friends. The good of it all, the glorious wild ride, most definitely is the gift that remains. I would be remiss at this juncture not to mention all of the women, my aunties, who have added layers of richness into my life. You filled in the blanks of my heart, as well as gave me a broader view of loving, which made me better. Gifts such as these are precious. So perhaps I'll stick with this mothering world of mine. After all, my investment is quite deep at this point, and there's so much to look forward to with this family we've built. I can only imagine what you all will bring to the table, the family table, in the years to come. Watching you build your own lives, your own families, enriches our story as you take the lead in this tale of ours. Rest assured that the joys, along with some sorrows that come along, will be supported with equal measures of love and laughter as they fill the frame of us. Of course, I'll be keeping that small pour of red along with the telenovela at the ready, just in case they are required. Preparation is key. Cheers. So ends our reading. And now at the center of our service, in the center of our lives, we take time each week to bear witness to what we bring to church in the center of our hearts. Mother's Day can be an emotional holiday for many of us. I encourage you to light a candle at this time and or type joy, a sorrow, a memory, or hope into the chat. Just precede it with a J and S so our reader knows what's to be read. And today it's Greg Golden.
When a sorrow is shared, it is lessened, and when a joy is shared, it is multiplied. In that spirit, Bonnie shares a joy, love and gratitude for anyone who took care of others in the way mothers do. You don't have to give birth to give love. A sorrow from Nancy Holland, missing my mother and son today. From Heather, a sorrow. This is my first Mother's Day without my dear mother to at least call. Karen Renee, a joy. Joyful to be celebrating Mother's Day with Jill's oldest daughter. It's been great getting to know her and her husband. From Julia and Luis, a joy. Happy Mother's Day. From Aviva Heston, a joy. My daughter is here today, though far away in body. Alex and I sing a duet together today. A sorrow from Will Rapp. Sorrow clashed with my bee buddies in my backyard yesterday, stung 5 or 6 times. Not fun even today. From Julie W. to everyone, a sorrow. Having to tell my kids yesterday that their dad and I are going ahead with our divorce. We will get through it, but it hurts right now. We end by honoring all the joys and sorrows kept in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we all be warmed in the embrace of community.
Please join me in a spirit of prayer. Afterwards, we'll have a full minute of meditative silence. Then we'll sing our responsive hymn, Now I Recall My Childhood. After that, our prayer today is by Judith Meyer. Anne Sexton wrote, "Look to your heart that flutters in and out like a moth. God is not indifferent to your need. You have 1,000 prayers, but God has one." End of quote. Dear God, we give thanks for those moments when we can feel that we live in a world that is not indifferent to our need. We all have so many needs. 1,000 prayers, 1,000 needs that really only need one answer. Let the world not be indifferent. And may we live and be with each other in the way that shows this truth, whatever the day brings, that neither are we indifferent to each other. Amen. And now let us join a period of communal silence.
Now I recall my childhood when the sun burst to my bedside with the day's surprise. Faith in the marvelous bloomed anew each dawn. Flowers bursting fresh within my heart each day. Then looking on the world with simple joy, on insects, birds, and beasts, and common weeds, the grass and clouds had fullest wealth of all. My mother's voice gave meaning to the stars.
We are continuing along with sharing testimonials each Sunday during this pledge drive season, and very pleased that we have one of our awesome treasurers who's going to speak to us today, Chris Long.
Thank you, and good morning. I believe I'm the newest church member to give a testimonial this year. I attended my first UUCSC Sunday service in July 2019 and became a church member in November of that year. It was just 4 months later that the country shut down and Sunday services went on to Zoom. That means I've had only a short amount of time to get to know this amazing church community in more than just a virtual way. But despite that, I've gained some treasured friends through UUCSC. I feel like I was already well on my way to being a UU before I ever walked through the door. Without even knowing at the time what the 7 principles are, they pretty much describe my beliefs and values. Finding a friendly and welcoming community of like-minded people was a gift, one that keeps on giving. It wasn't difficult to make a commitment to the church and become a member. This church provides me with valuable support to evolve as a human being because, like the church, I'm a work in progress. And there are always opportunities for improvement. Being a member of this church community, like being a member of a family, carries with it some responsibilities that can be as basic as treating everyone with courtesy and respect. But to keep the church that I'm sure we all value greatly operating requires a group effort. Many members donate time to help keep our church community viable. And while you may believe that money is the root of all evil, money is needed to keep the church functioning so that it can serve the needs of the congregants and also people in need in the greater community outside our church doors. Therefore, I'm asking that if you haven't done so already, that you fill out a pledge card and commit to a monetary contribution to our church. As a co-treasurer with Joseph Tichy, I've become well acquainted with the church's income and expenses, which include upkeep and repairs for our beautiful but aging building. Because of the pandemic shutdown we've been experiencing for the last 14 months, there's been a significant loss of income from rentals by the 12-step programs. Some of our church members have also seen their income drop. Pledge payments are the largest source of income for the church, and with the loss of rental revenue, pledges have taken on an even greater importance. The church has a very bare bones budget for the current fiscal year. Although pandemic restrictions are lifting, and I believe we're all looking forward to returning to the church for services, the next fiscal year, which begins on July 1st, will still be impacted by the pandemic. Please pledge whatever you feel you can afford to give, and I'm confident the money will be used prudently so this church can serve the needs of its members and remain a force for good in the community for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Couldn't agree more. People and organizations were all a work in progress. It is our second Sunday today, and on the second Sunday, we give our offering away to a worthy recipient organization. Today, we are continuing to give to the North Hollywood Interfaith Food Pantry, where need remains high for groceries for people who need them. Thank you so much also for turning in your pledge just as soon as you can. That will help us not have to nudge you. So if you don't want to be nudged, do let us hear from you. And we thank you so much for your ongoing generosity. We couldn't do any of this without all of you. The offering for the Interfaith Food Pantry will now be gratefully received. Here's the live snapshot of me and
Hello.
Milo. All right. Thank you, Boyz II Men. That song was found for us this week by Anthony Concepcion. So thank you, Anthony. So I wanted to share that essay my friend wrote. I was touched by it because I thought it was a good example of the kind of remembering that is good to do around Mother's or Father's Day, especially of our parents who have died, or our aunts, or really anyone who has mothered us, including mentors. Before I was mentioning how precious this time is, before my kids become tweens and teens, and how quickly childhood goes. If there's one thing I've learned in this pandemic, it's how very fleeting and important time spent with loved ones is. It's easy to take for granted until it's taken away from you. I have a special mentor named Diana that I've known for 16 years. I first met her in Detroit, Michigan. It was my first full-time ministry job, and she happened to be in the area doing an interim ministry. We immediately hit it off. She's originally from Texas, and we made nicknames for each other. She's Dixie, and I'm Trixie. We're Dixie and Trixie. She's a lot older than me and well into retirement now. And I've come to think of her as a second mom. I mention her because I've been talking with her a lot lately on the phone. She has a lot of wisdom about ministry from her several decades of service. Plus, she always cheers me up. But I've been talking with her more recently because her time left on this earth is not long. She has a heart condition, and they're saying she probably only has another year. Of course, I'll believe it when I see it because she sounds perfectly healthy to me all the way from Texas. But since we never really know when someone is going to die, it could be tomorrow, I want to have as many moments with her as I still can. I mention this because that is my message today. We should treasure the time we have left with our aging relatives, our mothers, our mentors, and our friends. Our elders are great storers of wisdom, love, and knowledge, and they deserve our respect and attention. When a loved one dies, I don't want to regret that I didn't spend more time with them. My mom's mom died 14 months ago, my grandma, and I'm still getting used to her not being with us anymore. The pandemic's been so distracting, but lately it's been catching me unawares at times. I'll be thinking of her, and I can clearly hear her voice and the way she would emphasize words when she talked. And I can see her mannerisms in my head. But the visits to Iowa are done now, and I'm realizing how special those times were. What I'm trying to say is I miss her, but it took me a little while to realize that. I've heard it said that the passage of time helps after a death, makes it easier. However, I seem to be discovering that the more time goes by, the more I miss her. Can you fix that? Look, Mother's Day, though it has an interesting history, thanks to one of our Unitarian ancestors, Julia Ward Howe, it has become largely a Hallmark holiday, heavily commercialized and all that. But I want to inspire you to consider that we decide what meaning it has for us. Every year we decide this. It can be a rough day for a lot of folks. For people who have difficult relationships with their mothers or their children, or for those of us whose mothers or children have died. Mother's Day can be brutally painful in this regard. because we are forced to reckon with our sorrow. What was so precious, so sacred to us, is no longer physically present. What was so alive, the spirit, the character, the embodied integrity of a person, is no longer. It's mind-boggling to consider how many mothers and grandmothers we've lost in the past year. I hope you'll forgive me for bringing a sadder hue to Mother's Day this year. But I think it's important to talk about moms and the nurturers who are important to us, who have died, even our children who have died. While they are not physically present, they are very much emotionally present, and this should be noted. And I know many in this congregation have already lost their moms years ago. So I encourage folks to make a point of remembering your moms today. Not just in passing or while you're doing the dishes. Sit down, light a candle for her. Do some journaling about your memories. It's a way to spend time with a loved one you have lost. It affirms the great mystery of life that was referenced in the first hymn, that our family connections and our history goes back countless generations. In our living state, we are the keepers of the dream, the values and traditions passed down to us. We stand on the ancestors' shoulders, and we should acknowledge what they gave us. For example, my love of being in the natural world I got from my grandma Mary Ellen, from her mom, and from my grandma Polly, my dad's mom. I inherited a passion for life, love, and friendships. If you had a difficult relationship with a mom or another relative, spend some time thinking about the good things you nevertheless received by virtue of genetics. For example, my grandpa Jim was a challenging human being and pissed off pretty much everyone, especially my mom. However, I got my curly hair from my grandpa. I'm the only one who got it, and I'm grateful for that. And of course, grateful he made my dad. Mother's Day and Father's Day can be occasions to reconcile our complicated feelings about our parents or other relatives, especially if they're no longer alive. Part of grieving is that negotiating, right? What was painful or challenging about this person, and what was amazing about her? Make a list. Do you see yourself in that list, the good and the bad? What have you inherited that maybe you want to improve upon for the next generation? What did you admire about your mom that you still wish to more fully emulate? Spend time with your memories today. Share them with your siblings or cousins. Call folks up and reminisce, swap stories, catch up. It's true that the second death of a person doesn't happen until there is no one left to tell their stories. We have to prolong that second death of a loved one, just as we hope will be done for us. And of course, let us celebrate the living moms in our lives, in our midst, but not just moms, our aunts, our sisters that raised us, and our mentors too, people like Dixie, the people who mother us. Man or woman, we all need a mom, whether that mom is a man or a woman. Thank God, I don't know yet what it's like to lose your mom. I can see it's a big deal, no matter the nature of the relationship. So for those fortunate to have your mom still living, give her some extra love and attention today. For those who have lost your mom already, do the same thing. Give her attention today with your remembering the good times, the bad times, the in-between times. In conclusion, no mother is perfect, but the great mystery of life is that children go on loving their imperfect mothers, and mothers go on loving their imperfect children. In the end, there is forgiveness and reconciliation. It's an unconditional kind of love, the best kind there is, and the best kind we need. Happy Mother's Day. And now let us sing our last hymn, Bright Morning Stars.